So this is the Storebælt Bridge, and we're currently in Denmark on the island of Zealand. And we had to cross into Zealand, coming over the Øresund Bridge, which cost us however much, and we have to leave Zealand, crossing this bridge. And whichever way you go, whether you leave on a ferry or a bridge, you've got to pay to get off this island. So we're about to cross over this bridge and go on to a different part of Denmark. Over 27,000 cars an hour go over this bridge. It's about 18 kilometres long, and it was built between 1988 and 1998. And apparently there are some windbreaks in the middle, which makes it easier for cars to cross this bridge even in very high winds. So they did think of everything when they were building it.
Call it off, let it go.
So we are in the most perfect spot tonight. Sadly, somebody just come to camp next to us, but that's okay. There's only two of us here, which is very different from last night. And it is delightful. Got lovely views of the islands out to sea. It's so peaceful and quiet as well. Fantastic. So welcome to the top of the third highest mountain in the Fumen Island. This is 128 metres above sea level, and as it said on the sign, by Danish standards, that's fairly high. And it's absolutely lovely. We just walked from Henry. Henry's just down there, and yeah, it's beautiful up here. When I say up here, it's not really we haven't really walked very far. We've only walked about 10 minutes from Henry, to be honest. But it is lovely, and there's fantastic view of all these islands. There's about 90 islands off this main island here, and this is what you can see some of them out here now.
Narrow streets and dusty roads I've lingered on for far too many years. I've wandered down the city, taking pity on myself through my fears. All this place ever gave me was a boot upon my face when I was down. Give me back my liberty, I'll take my first step to where I'm bound. And like an arrow, I will soar through the...
So we are in the grounds of Tranekær Slot, or Tranekær Castle if you prefer, and this is part of a sculpture trail that we're on, and this is the first of them. We're not too sure what it's all about really. It's called Priggan. Haven't got a clue what that means or anything like that, and there's a whole load of huge slugs in here. It's quite a nice cosy little place to be, I guess, really, but apart from that I can't really tell you anything about it, I'm afraid, sorry.
Continuing on our sculpture trail, this is actually the third one. We do have a map, but it's an extremely difficult map to follow. They do say actually that it's very difficult to find all the sculptures, so I think they're making it as difficult as possible. So far, this is our third one we've found, and we've got another dozen or so to find, and we couldn't find one at all. We will give it another go later on, but we're doing our best to find them all. So this is our 9th sculpture that we found out of 10. It's fair to say that the majority are actually quite overgrown and quite dilapidated, some of them. But this is called Hansen. I quite like this actually. It's just a wooden path going up the hillside. It's quite nice actually.
So this one is called Snow. I don't know if it's meant to be the shape of a snowflake or what, but I quite like it. I like the fact that they've got all the little patterns in between, in all the little walls. Very nice. This is number 11 of 12. So we found 11 out of the 12 so far, some of which have been in a pretty dilapidated state, but we quite like this one. So this is Tranekær Castle, Tranekær Slot. It is open to the public, but I don't think there's that much you can see in there. I think you can also have weddings and various things like that in there. And apparently there are lots of children's activities in the direct grounds of the castle as well, which you can do. But it does look very impressive. So this is Drury, and it's the first one that you can actually go into. It's like a little burial mound thing. And inside there's a light well. And I'm not too sure what it's all about again, but it's quite a nice one. I quite like it. I like the fact that it's all really overgrown. It looks lovely. So we're at Langersland Cold War Fort, and this was built in, or started working in 1953 as a direct result of the Cold War, which happened after World War II, mainly centred around Berlin. And Denmark thought that if there was going to be any kind of war, they were likely to be at the centre of it because Russia's not that far away across the Baltic Sea. And so they built a fort here, and they built a fort on the south of the Zealand island as well, I believe. And this is quite a heavily militarised area. Very interesting. So we're in the first of the bunkers. This is the operations bunker, and in wartime this would have been manned by 25 people, and they controlled all the guns at the fort from here. So this is one of the anti-aircraft guns, and I was sitting here and I had the control of which direction, and on that side they got the control of the height of the gun as well. And this is quite fun actually.
I'll take you with me from this place of despair. Take me on to roam the world again.
So this is the Springeren. It's a submarine that was used in the Cold War, and it went out of service in about the year 2000. It used to house 24 men. We've just been on board there, and it is extremely cosy to say the least. There were 6 officers, 6 petty officers, 11 ratings and a captain. And yeah, they very much live cheek by jowl in there, all full of equipment, and yeah, it was really interesting to see the conditions that they live in. I have to say it would not be my idea of fun at all. So this is the Ask, built in 1941. She was built as a minesweeper. But in 1965 she was relegated to use by the Danish Home Guard and was used to patrol Danish territorial waters. Again, extremely cosy on board. We've been down below decks and it is very, very cosy. 12 people would have been on this mine boat, and yeah, fairly cosy I would say.
Just a kid, but I was spending time.
So this is one of the last exhibits at this Cold War museum, and this is a MiG-23 fighter that came from Poland, and the MiG-23s apparently were considered the greatest threat as far as fighter planes were concerned. So good morning everybody, today we are in Aarhus, and it's the second largest city in Denmark, and we just parked up, and the first thing we've seen is this lovely elephant. And apparently there's lots of elephants around Aarhus, all to do with mental health. So we need to go and see if we can find some more.
With older company, stories about travel costs, a longing to be born inside of me. And like an
In a previous video, when we went to the forest and we saw Kongiven, the huge oak tree that was nearly 2,000 years old, we said that a graft of it had been taken, and we have actually, by complete accident, found where that graft of tree is, and it's here. And this is the graft of Kongiven, planted in the centre of Aarhus. So we're in Aarhus. We've now come out of the city centre and we are on the Infinite Bridge. This is a bridge that goes round in a circle, and you can walk on it forever and ever, should you so choose to do. It's actually a bit rainy now, but it's a lovely idea. Fantastic place to be. Very nice. Lovely beach we walked along as well. Wonderful. So here we are at Hald Slot, and this is named after the king who took the castle, and he took the castle away from the Bishop of Viborg. The Bishop of Viborg built this in the 1520s. It stood on the site of another previous castle. He was incredibly rich and powerful until the Reformation in 1536. He built his castle cannon-proof, and it was known as Cannonborg because of that. And when the Reformation came, he basically retreated into this castle, where he lived as a virtual prisoner for a few years. And then in 1538, he was released from his prisonership because he accepted the new Protestant faith. And when he died, basically the King Christian took over this castle, and it became Hald Slot as part of the King's County of Hald. And it's being renovated at the moment, but we love what they've done here. It's absolutely fantastic. They haven't tried to make it look how it used to. But it's absolutely amazing, and they've got all the dates inside the circle in the middle there. Absolutely lovely, and it's right on a little island in the middle of the lake. Fantastic.
I will soar through the air. I'll take you with me from this place.
We're just on the way back from the castle. We've been reading about this place. It was built in the 1750s, and it was originally built as the gatehouse to the manor house that would have stood behind Roger, which would have been absolutely enormous, presumably. It's now the home for retreats for illustrators, writers and authors, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Well, this is the barn that goes with that gatehouse that I was just talking about. We don't know anything about it, but we just love the way it looks. It's got a brand new thatch, and it is beautiful. I love the way the walls are bulging. It's amazing. So we arrived at the back of the house, and this is the front of the gatehouse, and you can see in the middle there, just to the right of the white door, there is what used to be the entrance into the garden through the middle.
Last night we spent the night here. It's a very popular spot for locals to come swimming. The lake is just past Henry, and as you can see, we were the only ones here. Locals all left about 8:30, and after that we had the place to ourselves. Absolutely lovely place again. Unfortunately, you can't fly the drone as there's an airport quite close to us. It was quite hot and sticky last night, so I actually went for a swim in the lake, which I have to say was rather chilly. But it's a fabulous place once again. Another great